I'm Mark, poet with guitar, and welcome to the Poets Reacts. And tonight we're going to react to a poem, a new poem. Now, Kemlin has seen, who's going to read to us. And I'm now in Michigan. I used to be in Washington, D.C. for all the past seasons they have. And Michigan is very different than Washington, D.C. And it's good to be here and actually see stars. I haven't seen stars in many years, and that's really a wonderful thing. Let me introduce our guest. We have a guest tonight with us. I'll let Marissa introduce him. Marissa?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Poets Reacts. I am Marissa. I'm a poet, spoken word artist, and publisher from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Remember tonight, please like, share, subscribe, follow to all of our incredible shows here at the Poetry Global Network. Oh, Mark's got his Lawin glasses, and Lawin is not here tonight, but Lawin, you're here in our hearts. Don't forget, if you are doing artwork with Kemlin tonight, post pictures of your artwork. We absolutely love to see what it is you guys are coming up with. And feel free to use the chat, ask questions, talk away. We clearly, at least I, love to talk, so use the chat. And my esteemed colleagues, I would like to welcome Mr. James. Mr. Speaker Sears, he's awesome. He's a dear friend of mine. And thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for coming and being part of the Poets Reacts tonight. And feel free to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and then throw it to Kemlin and she'll get us going tonight.
Hello, good evening. My name is James. Mr. Speaker Sears, you guys are lowballing if you're replacing Lawin with me. I'm like, I apologize.
I heard you read. You're okay.
Okay.
I feel honored to replace such a talented individual. Glad to be here, and I throw it over to the beautiful Kemlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's always great to have you in our same space. I've heard you read multiple times, and I think you are a fine and excellent poet, and it's such a nice honor to have you here at our show. So I am Kemlin, and I am your Singapore, Arizona connection, and I am a multidisciplinary artist, and I'll be painting with you today. Hopefully, you'll be sharing your artwork on our channel. Just post it down there as we listen to our poet. So without further ado, send in the poem. Okay. Romance is walking down the aisle of the supermarket, two of us having left the kids at home. Excitement is you bending over as you're stocking up of the fridge continues slowly inching the decadence we relish into freezer, watching clothes loosen in the spin cycle, seeing my balls tumble in the laundry separating fabric. It is a pleasure of going deep fried using air fryer, you having steamy food from the multifunctional rice cooker, the tantalizing feel of ribs leisurely tenderized by thermal pot. I know you like it thick and press the right buttons since you love the pressure cooker for stewing classic soups languidly. You watch me harden cookie dough in oven after kneading. Once the children sleep, we hasten to the spring coil mattress where we fulfill desperate desires for unadulterated 5 hours of sleep.
Oh, yes. What a great read, Kemlin. Y'all, 5 hours of sleep. That's like a godsend, right?
Okay. I am blushing.
I'm blushing. Like, I need a trip to the grocery store now. Ooh.
Does the poem have a title, by the way?
The freezer section.
Or let's
making dinner. Making dinner.
Right.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a title. But anyway, yes, home cooking or
handmade, made from scratch.
So, Mr. Speaker, how would you title this poem?
It sounded like a food burlesque show. Like I was listening to a burlesque. When I think about burlesque, you take something simple as getting undressed and you make it exotic. Well, this poem made food and shopping and the whole process exotic.
Parenthood.
Marital bliss? I don't know. You know.
That's how you have more kids. You wind up writing poems like this, and then you have more kids, and then yeah.
No, I think this is really fun. This is why I wish more people would read a lot of poetry. It's so much fun to read. I mean,
we could read more of these poems if you want, Mark.
No, I mean it's not. It's just that it's fun. It's easy to. It's like it's just easy to get into, and it's like universal. It's just fun. I think like that. I mean, I was talking to a prose writer yesterday, and he was talking about the difference between readers and like people who don't read poetry that much. It's because they're looking for narrative. If they can't make a movie out of it, then it's not, it's nothing they're interested in. I don't get it. This is really fun.
They just need to change what kind of film they're using, right? Because poems are movies. It's just, what
Yeah,
you might have to go back to 8mm film and paste that stuff together by hand, but it's still a movie.
I mean, this poem has so much fun with that universal thing of being married and these little games that you play, and you just want to go home and sleep because the kids are, the whole bit. I mean, it says it all. Kind of reminds me a little bit. It's kind of in the style of, for me, of Collins and Hogarth. You know what I mean? It has that kind of like cute satire that kind of plays in. I think it's done well.
So
yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. This is my
refrigerator. I love it.
Talent.
I thought for sure she was going to do bun in the oven. I say it's a female. I know it's not to be sexist. It's just I get a sense that it's a woman. But she talks a lot about balls. If it's a woman, and hard and balls, and those things kind of lead me to believe, we
every other buttons and tenderizer and everything, right? There's every little innuendo in the world there,
And then they use whimsical words like tantalizing and tenderized and lavishingly, and there's other types of words in here that are decadence, right? That are still very seductive words, and so it's almost like they're wanting to seduce you with their words as well. I thought it was cute.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you try to make laundry sound sexy, you are really stretching poetry. That's why I thought it was beautiful. Everyday things. That's why I liken it to burlesque, because we get dressed and undressed every day. So a person takes something that is really mundane that we do all the time and make it sexy. This is a diatribe of household chores turned into sexy words.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is that I think it has a universal quality to it. Most of us have to do shopping. Most of us have to use appliances at home. And so I find it very, very relatable. And I thought the language had lovely, romantic language, but also a little tantalizing and a little decadence here and there. But, I thought that it was really fun.
Well, if you read this to someone, in their early 20s or something, they'll probably say, this is the reason I don't want to get married.
Well, if marriage was like this, we would all want to be married, right? Oh, y'all, he sets his phone to ring at half of every show because he's like, look, I'm so important. Do you know, I'm on the show right now. I got it.
That was the guy I called to try to get for James.
That was the latest proposal, right? Marriage isn't so bad. Maybe we should get married.
This is the poet that's coming on.
It's just not a question of bad or good. It's just a question of reality. I mean, the kid, the romance is walking down the aisle of the supermarket, having left the kids at home. I mean, if you had kids, if you're in that group, if you've been through that stuff, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's what it is.
Otherwise, I would say just enjoy trying to make them.
The poem is, it's superficial like that, and that's basic. But it comes down to the reality of it, cliche or not, what it is.
I thought because of the way it laid on the page that it might have been a contrapuntal poem. I would have liked to see that. It could have almost read as a contrapuntal poem, but it wasn't. But it would have been very interesting. It wouldn't have been hard to make it a contrapuntal, moving a couple of words around here and there. But the way it laid on the page, it could have been very interesting to read it like that.
And he uses the right. He uses just the right amount of adjectives in there. He throws.
You think it's a man?
I think it's unisex, really. I really don't think it. I don't find the gender here. It's men.
Kevin and I are laughing because we know it's like, we
get. By the way, that's the same. This is the same for couples. For gay couples too.
Sure.
Lesbian couples, it's the same. You have the kids, man. You go to the supermarket. You finally get to unwind a little bit. You have a little. That's all you get. In a day. And
I think with listening to you, Mark, I think that's new insight for me into this poem. That that it is universal, it's unisex, and it's. The poet is successful in creating that kind of environment, which I think in this day and age is not always the easiest thing to do. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Like, we have our families trained where when we're on the lives, they're crawling behind us. Like,
they're crawling
straight up. That's how you know you've made it in poetry, is when your family gets on their hands and knees and crawls behind you, right?
And this is just like the type of poetry that just deals with everyday happening. You just write about just the simplest event, like going to the supermarket and all this kind of stuff that happens with it. And that's sometimes very nice poetry too. Just picking up the most common thing that you do, walking the dog or whatever it is, and turning it into a fun poem.
Leads back to something you said earlier, but everything is poetry. A lot of people, even people who write movies, may not realize, but when you put down writing, you're writing something that could be it could be a prose, it could be what have you, and then you look at something as everyday actions it's poetry.
Yeah.
And sexy poetry.
Yeah, I was really surprised, and honestly, with my brain being the way it is these days, I'm like, I actually forgot which poem I was reading. I'm like, oh my goodness,
just blame it on the brain fog, Kemlyn, right? Just blame. What a great way to break in Mr. Speaker to our show. I had no idea what she was gonna bring, but I know. I'm like, James can handle anything. Whatever you guys got, he can handle it. He's a pro. I'm not worried about him. He can take.
So who's the poet, Kemlyn?
Okay, and so Sayaka, would you like to put the bio in the chat for me, please, and then I will read it for you. This is a male poet. So sorry, Marissa.
Yes. Oh, yes. It brings
He's actually one of the he's actually one of the top male poets, in my opinion, in my Singapore poetry writing month. Yeah, he's a chemical engineer. Yeah, exactly.
And a nerdy, smart poet. I love it.
Yes, he is. And he has a degree in chemical engineering. He teaches in Singapore. He's a father of 3. And his works have been published in the anthologies by Singapore Poetry Writing Month, A Luxury We Cannot Afford, Luxury We Must Afford, Twin Cities, and Anima, Methodi, Contour in 700 Lines. And he's won first prize in the Singapore's National Poetry Competition in 2019. And so he is one of my dear friends, Mr. Low Kian Seh, and I'm just very proud to present one of his lovely poems to you today.
I love it. Kevin, what a great pick.
Well, it's so nice to have like a nice light poem once in a while too, because most of the time, James, we get you don't get such light fare, right? So, most of people are kind of bleeding on the page. Here it's like, people have other stuff on the page. So
I think we should totally react sometime to one of Mr. Speaker's poems, but you guys won't know who it is. I will know who it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would be lovely.
we
That
should
would be
totally
so
have
fun.
him come on and recite a poem.
Sure.
That would be awesome. All right. So we're getting kind of down to the end of our show for this segment. Thank you all so very, very much for being here today, for reacting live with us. If you were doing any sort of artwork at the same time as Kenlin, please post pictures. We love to see what it is that you all are doing. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow to all of the Poetry Global Network shows, especially our show, because we want to be number one. We want to be the best because our show is the best. It's the most funny. Like, come on. And it's also the most educational and informative. So we check all the boxes. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow to everything that we do here at the Poets Reacts. And remember, as we react live to poems that we've never heard before, we hope that you take action with your pen so that maybe someday we'll be reacting to your poem. Good night, everybody.
Good night.